As a company commander, if you're not deployed, your primary focus is on training your company to accomplish its mission in any operational environment. You're the primary trainer of your company, and your first sergeant is the principal trainer of individual soldiers. To be able to train your company, you must understand and implement the 4 steps of the Army's training management process: plan, prepare, execute, and assess. You cannot execute training to standard unless you plan and prepare it. And at the company level, you can't plan and prepare unless you conduct effective training meetings every month.
This video will provide you, as a commander or first sergeant of a civil affairs or military information support operations company,
with the basic information you'll need to conduct a training meeting in accordance with ADP 70, ADRP 70, the Unit Training Management Pamphlet, and the USACAPOC Command Training Guidance.
Monthly training meetings are non-negotiable, but commanders do have latitude in determining how to fulfill this requirement. The meeting can take place during a battle assembly, or can be conducted as an additional training assembly, ATA. If ATA funds are not available, a non-paid assembly for points only is an option. Regardless of the method, training meetings must be built into the company training schedule to ensure all required personnel know the correct date, time, and location. The company commander runs the meeting, reviews the assessment of previous training, and provides guidance. The XO runs the meeting in the commander's absence and provides a current assessment for collective tasks, battle drills, and key individual tasks. The first sergeant provides his or her assessment of training, provides guidance and advice on training plans, and reviews pre-execution checks. Subordinate leaders provide assessments and ensure individual training supports the company's collective tasks. The maintenance NCO coordinates maintenance efforts and identify issues that would impact upcoming events. The supply sergeant provides input to the commander on supply-related issues, inspections, and inventories that need to be on the training schedule. Other key staff personnel may be required to attend based on the commander's guidance and upcoming training expectations. Let's look at Bravo Company, 494th Civil Affairs Battalion, as they begin their training meeting.
As with every meeting, I want to ensure everyone is clear on our purpose, our agenda, the time we will spend in the meeting, and as a reminder, we'll close out with a reminder of do-outs and assigned tasks. First Sergeant, let's start the meeting by reviewing today's purpose and agenda.
Army training model consists of 4 cyclical steps: plan, prepare, execute, and assess. Training meetings are key to near-term planning. They assess units in preparing for training and allow commanders to assess past training. The purpose of the training meeting is to provide a forum for leaders, trainers, and evaluators to give feedback on the training executed during a past battle assembly. Identify leader and unit training tasks. Review preparation for upcoming training to include leader and unit preparatory training. Status of requests, training areas, instructors, medics, ammunition, training aids, and other critical resources. Rehearsals for trainers, evaluators, and OCs. OP4 for role players, training and preparation. Training site preparation. Training aids, devices, simulators, and simulations. Tests, issue, and maintenance. Provide commanders with a continuous source of bottom-up input for periodic training assessments. At company training meetings, the broad agenda should involve covering the last battle assembly's training in the first 15 minutes, training plans for the upcoming 3 to 4 months for 30 minutes, then the rough plan for training 5 to 6 months out for the final 15 minutes. Training meetings are a forum to ensure training is medal related, solicit feedback from subordinate unit leaders, assess current status of training proficiency, provide guidance on pre-execution checks, ensure risk management is integrated, identify and coordinate multi-echelon training opportunities, allocate resources and resolve problems in training. The result is a coordinated and locked-in training schedule. Company training meetings are generally conducted on the same predetermined time and date. This provides a degree of battle rhythm and predictability. Having training aids and resources available during the meeting is key to running smoothly.
Yes, good morning, First Sergeant. This is Sergeant Rivera. Yes, the UAR and I laid out the room as you directed to be ready for the training meeting on Saturday morning. Yeah, First Sergeant. We have the company and battalion training calendar, the copy of the medal, the battalion YTG upward, the FM, and the computer for the DTMS. Thank you, First Sergeant. Have a good day.
XO, let's review your small arms range operations from last battle assembly.
Sir, last battle assembly, we conducted 0 in qualification ranges. Sir, 25 soldiers were present for duty and fired, but only 15 qualified on their first attempt.
Sir, I noticed a number of soldiers having difficulty with proper marksmanship fundamentals. Coaches were unable to provide the necessary assistance because they were given no training before sending them out with the firers. We will train to standard using FM3-22.9 prior to the next range. The problem is we didn't run our own PMI, but piggybacked with Alpha Company. The task, conditions, and standards for PMI are in Chapter 4 of FM3-22.9. Our soldiers ran through PMI in about 30 minutes. The 4 fundamentals were not trained. There was a description of proper sight picture, but no training aid to demonstrate it. Soldiers were not wearing ACHs and body armor, so when they got on the range, I'm guessing everything felt unfamiliar. We have access to an engagement skills trainer, but no one scheduled it because Alpha Company didn't think about it until the month before. The bottom line is we know how to prepare and execute PMI to standard. We didn't do it, and as a result, 10 soldiers boloed on the range, and now we have to retrain them.
First Sergeant, I need you to fix this. When we qualify again in November, we need to have PMI on the training schedule in October. I need you to personally go through the rehearsals and pre-combat checks with those NCOs the CAT leaders designated as trainers. Speaking of concurrent training, Staff Sergeant Handy, what was the problem there?
Sir, we planned Combat Lifesaver round robin as concurrent training for the range, but the instructor got sick and we didn't have a backup.
What could we have done as a contingency plan?
Sir, we should have had a backup instructor identified.
Let's plan to do better moving forward. I also want to ensure that we take maximum advantage of our training time and knock out some of our mandatory briefings out there on the range as soldiers are waiting to fire. Okay, moving on to next month's battle assembly, I want to run through the notes from last training meeting to ensure that all remaining issues have been addressed. First, let's cover the CBRN training on Saturday.
Sergeant Handy, could you go over your pre-execution checks for that event?
Certainly, First Sergeant. All issues discussed last month have been resolved. As you know, First Sergeant Sergeant Jones, the primary instructor, rehearsed the training for you this morning. I confirmed with the civilian who runs the chamber he will open on time, and he'll even draw the CS for us. The supply sergeant coordinated with S4 on Tuesday for MREs for the lunch meal, and she will pick them up Tuesday before BA. We received all parts we ordered, so we'll be able to fix all problems we identify when we PMCS the mask in the morning. Oh, and Sergeant Smith?
I'm here.
We will need the cage open at 0815 to draw masks.
I got it.
The only other thing I want to do before drill is recon the route one more time. There is construction along the way, and I want to see if we have to SP to stay on time.
Yes, I am concerned about the construction preventing us from making it to training on time. So do the recon the same day of the week and at the time we'll be traveling, and then let me know if we have to move up our SP time. Also, remember what we put out in the operations order last month. We're taking assigned vehicles, so team leaders, ensure that dispatch and PMCS by 0830. XO, you need to ensure the battalion motor sergeant knows we need the motor pool open by 0700.
Pre-execution checks are developed through informal coordination and preparation for conducting actual training events. The chain of command developed these checks to prepare soldiers, leaders, trainers, and units, and also to ensure that training is resourced and conducted properly. As training events are planned and resources are identified, the details become clearer. These critical checks ensure that resources are used efficiently and responsibilities for them are fixed.
Now that we've covered the next 3 months out, let's look hard at month 4 so we can lock in the training schedule.
Sir, we've received a FRAGO requiring 3 NCOs to support Delta Company sticks as OCTs that month at Camp Shelby. Remember, the battalion commander has made Delta Company the main training effort for the battalion in preparation for its JRTC rotation. Also, the S3 reminded us at last month's battalion training meeting that we need to conduct SHARP and EO training as we're approaching the end of the training year and haven't scheduled the required classes yet. I think we can fit them into the schedule for month 4. Plan to conduct weapons qualification on Saturday, and our draft schedule already calls for classes in OPSEC and fraternization to fill the time period after finishing the day course while we wait for it to get dark enough to conduct night fire. But we allocated 2 hours to do those classes, which is more time than we need. I recommend we divide the time into 3 40-minute blocks, allocate a block for SHARP, EO, and fraternization, and then we can do the OPSEC class on the bus on the way to the range or fit into the schedule on Sunday.
Near-term training should cover any new fragos impacting training, updated guidance from higher command, and pre-execution checks. Using the tools available, applicable medals, Army Training Network resources, FMs and TMs, training calendars, composite risk management matrix, and DTMS, to name a few. Commanders guide their companies to training that meets company and battalion end states.
Let's talk about the training projected 5 to 6 months out. CAT 2, month 5 may be our first opportunity to incorporate CMOC operations or some of the other collective training that we've talked about, especially for the company headquarters, into the training schedule. I'd like to prepare by training the most critical collective tasks in months 5 and 6.
Sir, the YTC also shows we have scheduled a record APFT that month.
CAT 1, you will conduct that for us. Wait, you handle the last one. CAT 2, you'll take responsibility this time around.
Rotating will help develop our NCOs. Go back and read the AAR from the last APFT. I want to make sure that we don't take all morning like we did the last time we did the APFT. Next month, I want to know who the NCOIC is, the resources you need to include the personnel from the other CATs, and an 80% solution to the op order. Make sure you use your troop leading procedures. I want to do a complete on-the-ground walkthrough with all graders the BA before execution. So make sure we have the facilities reserved. That way we can put it on the training schedule and deconflict that rehearsal with other training. We also need to make sure we have a plan to test those who will not be at BA.
When discussing training events to take place in the near term, or 4 to 6 months out, company commanders must use the battalion training execution matrix. Subordinate leaders do a medal crosswalk to ensure that individual training tasks identified directly support the company and battalion in execution of their collective task.
Now looking 6 months out, each of the CAT leaders told me they needed classrooms to conduct training on individual tasks. Last training meeting, I tasked each CAT to identify the individual tasks they wanted to train and explain to me how they support the company medal.
We can start with you, CAT 2.
Roger that. First Sergeant, next month we plan to train on conducting an area assessment. It's on our medal.
The training schedule for next BA is already approved by battalion, and conducting an area assessment is not on there. Besides, you haven't trained all the individual tasks yet, so you're not ready to train on that collective task. We won't change it this late in the game. You'll have to coordinate those tasks for a later month. And when you do, I want you to lay out the task, condition, and standards so that we can properly resource you. We all plan to do medal link tasks this month and conduct training in the classroom that our training NCO has reserved for us. Conducting an area assessment is a collective task that we can do later in the training year. For the upcoming month, talk to me about rehearsals and what things are outstanding with regards to the individual tasks that you're training in preparation for the collective event later.
Of course, First Sergeant, our rehearsals for establish civil military measures of effectiveness, evaluate civil military measures of effectiveness, prepare a CMO estimate, and conduct liaison with other organizations will occur Friday evening before we execute training on Saturday. Here are the task condition standards for each item, which I obtained from the 38 Bravo Soldier's Manual and downloaded directly off of ATN. In addition, we need a dry erase board, dry erase markers, a butcher block board, 2 computers with internet access. I've already confirmed our role players for battle assembly this weekend, and I'll maintain contact with them.
One more thing, remember that once battalion has approved our training schedules, they will not be changed without approval from higher.
Now that we've discussed last month's training, brought the pre-execution checklist for the next 4 months closer to completion, and projected training to 6 months out, here are your do-outs to me.
At the completion of the training meeting, the training schedule for the battle assembly, 3 to 4 months out, will be complete. Additionally, the commander must identify what follow-up action he or she requires.
Good job, everyone. Let's work on those do-outs and find solutions to the issues we identified.
I hope that after watching this video, you understand the importance of training meetings and that we've given you some ideas about how to conduct effective training meetings. Our job as commanders is readiness. There are 4 parts to readiness, of course: people, equipment, maintenance, and training. If we mobilize and all of our soldiers aren't ready, chances are the Army will give us ready soldiers. If we mobilize and all our equipment's not ready, chances are the Army will give us equipment that works. But if our soldiers aren't trained to standard, then they'll die. We cannot fail.